Okay, part two. We're going live again. You know, sometimes when you go live, you gotta go with the punches. And my mic wasn't on because the thing wasn't plugged in. So we got that plugged in, and now we're ready to go. It's Friday. Today's topic is how to get funded the smart way because the old ways of funding are dead. I'm going to check my mic here again. We are good to go. So, really want to dig into this topic because I think a lot of people are still applying based on a ton of misinformation. The old way of funding is dead. You need to be prepared. So, if you are one of those people that just keep stacking denials, you're not really sure what's going on, very, very, very common. Just want to let you know that a lot of other entrepreneurs and business owners are feeling just as frustrated as you are, right? They are out here, they're applying, they're feeling like they're doing all the right things, but they're getting denied. The problem is there's a lot of information out there telling you where to go, which banks you can go to, who you can apply with, but they don't tell you which banks those businesses will most likely work with, what those banks are looking for, what they need before you apply, and every single one is different. Every lender, every banking partner, they're all different. You know, every business owner is getting bombarded, right? You're getting a lot of spam, you're getting a lot of cold emails, cold texts, and offers that don't go anywhere. Maybe you're applying and you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and you're still trying to figure out, why this funding is not going through. And it's because you don't actually know what type of funding fits your business. Okay, if you're getting an equipment loan, there's certain lenders for that. If you need invoice factoring, there's certain lenders for that. Term loans, private, capital, equity. There's all kinds of different lenders for that. So everybody tells you where to get funding. Nobody tells you how to do it properly. I have all my notes here so I don't forget anything. I don't want to lose track of what we're talking about because it is so, so, so important. If you're watching this live and if you're struggling with funding, don't worry. That's why you're here. Just drop ready in the comments and drop what some of the challenges that you're having too, because that's the whole point of having this conversation. So, who am I? I'm Dominique, Director of Funding for GRE Capital. Been working with GRE Finance for almost 5 years now. And our focus area is asset-based lending. We work with a lot of non-depository lenders. So what that means is it's funding that's not often tied to a traditional bank. So we highly recommend that you go to your bank first. If you have a relationship with your bank, have a relationship with your credit union, hit them up first. You already have a relationship with them. Credit unions, they love working with small businesses. If you're a woman-owned business, minority-owned business, if you're working with government contracts, they love that kind of stuff. So get out there, start your business bank account, and start developing relationships with your other bankers because they're going to really help you in terms of being able to get some type of funding with some pretty good interest rates. Now, we also, separate from GRE Money, GRE Finance, I also help individuals who are not yet ready to get business funding. They're looking for like a personal loan as startup capital. Okay, personal loan for startup capital or debt consolidation, things like that. Very, very picky on the personal loan portion because you want to be very specific that you can pay this back. Okay, because these reflect on your personal credit. So that's your livelihood, guys. You need to have a plan in place. You need to make sure that if you are going to go for this type of funding, you know exactly what you're going to be doing. Okay, a couple things. If you're going to be looking for a personal loan, you need to have a 680 credit score. Don't even apply if you don't have that. Okay, now if you don't have that and you do want to apply, just be aware that you're not going to get the best offers. But if you can work with those offers, if you can work with a little bit higher interest rate, if you have a short-term plan to pay it back, then that might work for you. Business loans, well, with personal loans, they're based on your income, right? So if you have personal credit, of course, and then if you have a job, so you would submit your W-2. If you're working, if you're self-employed, you would submit your tax returns. You can submit your pay stubs if you're working as well, but they're really going to take a look at that, okay? As far as your business loan, they want to make sure that your entity is structured correctly. So this means that you have a business that's registered, it's filed. That could be an LLC, S Corp, C Corp, whatever fits the model that you're working at. But they want to see that you not only have a proper structure, but you have some revenue coming in, you have consistency. Now, let's say you have been doing really well, but you had like a major event, right? That caused the business to slow down a bit. Or maybe you're working on a project and you had to re-strategize and invest funds elsewhere. So it took a dip. That doesn't mean that you're out of the running. There's a lot of companies that will still work with you. You just need to be able to explain what was going on at that time. So when you are looking for business funding, this is the first thing you're going to do. Okay, make sure you take out your notes and you write this down, because I think that this for sure is where people fall short. 100%, right? Even in the loan application process, as we're moving through, there's always at some point we hit a wall with certain applicants because they just don't have these documents in order. So what happens is it doesn't take you out of the running, but it's going to completely slow everything down. You're going to have to go back. You're going to have to get this together. If you don't know how to do it, you're going to have to connect with somebody. So I recommend you start with these points right now. Okay, so the first one is you want to get your business set up the right way. I touched on this a little bit, but you want to get your business registered, because over half, like almost 60% of denials are happening because the business is just not set up properly. Meaning, it's not registered, or it's registered with the wrong information. So if you have like your home address on there, which quite honestly, you really don't want to register your business with your home address, because what if you have like an angry customer or a crazy stalker? You don't want them knowing where you and your family live, right? So definitely get a business address. If you don't have a business address yet, well, there's a lot of places you can go. You can go to Regis Virtual Office, Alliance Virtual Office, and you can get your business registered there. I have Regis. So really great organization. But if you can get a little small office, we have a little office out in Walnut Creek that's like $500 a month. You can do that too. So, but if you're not there yet, right? If you're just starting, definitely get a virtual office. Okay, don't try to convince yourself that I'm gonna try to hold out with my home address. No. Okay, we don't want to do that. We want to get everything set up the right way so we don't have to backtrack and do any of that kind of stuff. So you're going to get filed. You're going to choose the entity type. And then before you even do that, you're going to choose your business name. So I need you to choose your business name. I need you to go online and verify that it is not taken. And here's another thing. I'm going to give you a little tidbit here. When you're choosing a business name, if you're going to get your domain, a website, which you need to do, if you're going to get your website set up, then make sure that the website is reflective of your business. You with me? Does that make sense? It needs to be reflective of your business. So once you get that set up properly, you have everything organized, the website needs to be matching. What you do, I'll give you an example. I had a trucking company and they had their website set up, and when the lender went to go look at their website, it was a staffing website, like a staffing company. So those types of things may seem minor to you, but those are huge red flags in the eyes of the lender, the person that's loaning you money. And remember, we want to make ourselves look as lendable as possible, right? Less risky as possible in the eyes of the lender. So everything's set up properly. Business registered, business email, no Gmail, no Hotmail, no Ymail, no AOL. Okay, you can have it for personal reasons, but you don't want to put it on your business applications. Okay, so what you could do is you could go with a platform like GoDaddy. GoDaddy will not only give you a website, but they'll also give you a professional email. They'll give you a couple. So if you have staff or if you have VA, you can have your own name, John at such and such business.com. And then you can have your assistant with like info at such and such business.com. So get that set up properly. And then you'll have a business phone number. Do not put your cell phone on as your business phone number. They check this, okay? They check it. They will literally see if it says AT&T, Verizon, whatever, they're going to check it. And if you don't have a registered business phone number, you are not a credible business in the eyes of the lender. So those are the basic things you want to get set up. Email, business name, make sure that you are choosing a name that is not taken. So if you want the domain name to be similar to the business name, go into GoDaddy and look it up before you go get it registered. Because if you do it opposite, well, then that domain name might be taken, and then you're going to have to just kind of figure something else out. So have all of that planned, then go and file. So you'll file with the Secretary of State and your state, and then you'll get your EIN, and then you'll move from there. Okay, so that's your first step you're going to do. You're going to get your business properly structured. And now, if you have any questions about that, leave me a comment. If you're stuck on that part, leave me a comment. If you don't know where to go, leave me a comment and I'll shoot you over a couple of suggestions. But your foundation is the biggest part that you need to start with. Now, the second thing is knowing what you have as leverage, right? Do you have cash flow as leverage, credit, or collateral? If you're applying for a personal loan and you have good credit, there you go. You can get a pretty good loan. You might even get a really good interest rate. We've seen 0% interest rates, very low rates, and good terms for the client. So you can use your credit. Now you can use cash flow. If this is a business loan, lenders want to see consistent business revenue. They want to see that and there's different types of lenders. So there's revenue-based lenders. There's credit lines, there's loans, there's MCAs, which is a merchant cash advance, which you want to be careful with. I'm going to get to that in a minute. But if you don't have any of those elements together, then you're not necessarily ready for a loan. Okay. You need to take a step back. If you have good credit, like we said, you can apply on the personal side. If you have bad credit, you can still apply with certain subprime lenders, but you need to know that you're not going to get the greatest deal. So do you have a repayment plan in place? You can use it as a bridge. You can use an MCA funding as a bridge if you have another round of funding that's coming in, and you can take that out. So a couple different strategies and creative ways that you can structure those type of deals. But if you have bad credit and you have revenue, funding is still possible. See it all the time. Okay, if you have bad credit, maybe you've had a dip in business for whatever reason, then and you can explain it, right? You can really explain it in a way that the lender understands. You can still get funding. If you have a cosigner or a partner that is willing to invest in your business, you can do that as well. My personal opinion is to try to see if you can do it on your own. I've just seen a lot of relationships go head to head with this co-signing thing. So, people don't typically pay back, unfortunately, when they run into a situation. And so if this is you're co-signing with family, friends, it can get muddy. So I just suggest trying to figure it out on your own. Why not? Right. And of course, get with like a credit professional who can help you. Take 3 months. Take 3 months to just pause whatever you're doing, whatever lifestyle you're living. Just take a step back and fix this, because it's really going to come down to how bad do you want it, right? How bad do you want this business to work? And if you want it bad enough, you can still get there. It just might take a little bit longer. The other thing that you can use for leverage would be your collateral, right? So if you have inventory, if you have receivables, you can do accounts receivable financing. If you have equipment, you can do equipment financing. Real estate that you already own. We have a client that owns a couple locations and they're expanding to a pizza location. So they're using one of their retail places for collateral. One of their other pizza locations for collateral. And you can use that to finance and open up a second location. If you have strong enough collateral, then your credit and your cash flow matter a little bit less. So again, creative ways to structure financing. Now, if you have all of these, you have another option. You can go for an SBA loan. SBA loans are great if you can get it, because they really love working with small businesses. They do. They love working with women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses. If you have government contracts, they love working with you. So if you have established structure, if you have consistency, if you have a business that fits their lending criteria, they'll work with you. If you've got a credit score, they'll work with you on different SBA loans as well. We actually just helped a female-owned daycare center get about $650,000 in funding, and she's back for a second round of funding. So you can, and that was through the SBA. So one of our SBA lenders. So you want to, if you can go for an SBA loan. They have typically lower rates, longer terms, a lot more favorable structuring than some other alternative financiers. So get with your local SBA program in your city. There's a lot of different programs. If you're a startup, then you can get into one of their like business planning coaching programs. I did that years ago, and I learned a lot. So I definitely recommend reaching out to them. If you can qualify there, go there. If you can qualify at a bank, if you can qualify through SBA, then definitely get that first. If you have none of these, okay, you're just strictly starting out, or maybe you ran into a situation, you're not completely, totally left out. You have some options, okay? So one of the first options that you have is business credit. I'm sure you've seen it all over the internet. Business credit, you can get business credit. You can, but I need you to be realistic and understand what business credit is. Business credit does not take the place of traditional financing. It is a tool to help you grow. It is strategy. It is leverage, because if you're working in plumbing, you can get business credit at certain hardware stores. If you are a contractor, you can get business credit as well. If you're doing marketing, you can get business credit at certain other locations as well. So you want to get those type of credit, because then you're not using all of your cash flow. So you can definitely leverage business credit, and you want to build a business credit score, because guess what? The SBA does look at something called an SBSS score, which is a business credit score. So if you can, let's go back to the beginning, build a stable foundation, follow those structural steps I told you to do, as far as getting your business registered, setting up an EIN, website, all of that. Once you have all of that set up, it's all matching perfectly across the board. Well, now you can apply for business credit. And business credit works in tiers. So when you get to the top tier, you can apply for business credit that will actually give you like cash funding. You can get vehicle funding. You can get all kinds of things. But you never start there. Okay. You got to start building it up. You got to start with like a net 30. So you would get like a gas card, maybe something at like a 7-Eleven. But there's a ton that you can choose from. And we all have business expenses. So that you can get business credit at so many places. But you want to make sure that you're getting business credit that actually reflects, because not every vendor actually reports to business credit. The business credit bureaus, they don't do that. So you need to verify, and you need to make sure, checking my mic here. Whoop. You need to verify, and you need to make sure that the lenders that you're working with do actually report. So they would report to like Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, Dun & Bradstreet, Equifax Business, LexisNexis, Experian Business. So that's what they would report to. And if you have a business credit score, it just increases the amount of credit that they'll give you at certain locations. Then, of course, you get up to the higher tiers, you can get vehicle financing and other types of financing as well. But you can also get grants. So if you are, a woman-owned business, if you're a startup, whatever location you're in, go on the internet, do some research. There's a ton of grants out there. And now, grants require some work. So you better be willing to know. You're either going to pay with time or you're going to pay with money. Okay, so you better be willing to sit down, go through your business, write out the purpose of what this grant is for, and you might even have to do a couple of them. I know some women who have done like grant after grant after grant after grant, and they've been able to get the funding, but there is some work required in that. You can get with somebody who helps people write grants, but you can also write it yourself, okay? But the first thing, the very, 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 very first thing was getting registered, and then the next thing is getting with somebody to get your financial documents together. Okay, you need to understand that you have to keep your bank statements, personal and business, separate, completely separate. Okay, there are going to be times where you're tempted to use one for the other. Don't do it. Make sure that you're monitoring your non-sufficient funds, your overdrafts. If you have non-sufficient funds and overdrafts, don't apply just yet. If you have more than 4, one of our lenders is going to more than 3 to 4, then don't apply. Wait. Okay, just wait. Give yourself like 2-3 months, because you're going to submit minimum of 3 months bank statements, 4 months if you're in California. So if you're going to submit those bank statements and you've got a ton of non-sufficient funds within those 1 to 2 months, just wait, okay? Wait so that you can get the amount of funding that you're looking for. You'll also need to know, if you're getting business funding, your P&L, your balance sheet. So your P&L is going to tell the lender whether you're profitable and you have enough revenue to support the payment. And then your balance sheet is going to tell them if your business has, assets versus liabilities. Basically the snapshot of like your overall financial health. So depending on when you apply, let's say you apply right now, you'll submit your balance sheet we're in June. So your balance sheet for May, and then your P&L from January to May, right? So, and you would submit 2 to 3 years of that. So those are the type of documents you need. And if you're not ready for that, if you don't know what they are, then connect with like a CPA, somebody that can help you with this, okay? Now, the last thing I want to talk about is MCAs, merchant cash advances. I cannot close without talking about merchant cash advances, because the one thing I want to say about it is I have seen way too many businesses take on too many. When you take on too many merchant cash advances, you get into something that we call a debt spiral, which means you're basically spiraling your way into a hole and you won't be able to get out. So again, if you are going to take an MCA loan, understand what you are doing before you accept. A lot of successful businesses can take these MCA loans, pay it off. They're waiting for inventory to come in. The inventory comes in, they flip it, it's done, right? But if you are taking an MCA loan to kind of fix like a crisis or a crunch, and then it hasn't been solved, and then you take another one, and that one before you hasn't been paid off, you're literally just shooting yourself in the foot. So an MCA, yes, it can. Oh, I just got a notice. Anyway, we're getting in here because apparently there's an issue with my outfit. So we're going to end the live here as far as the MCA, another round of bridge financing. You can use it in the meantime, but we'll end it today. So that was today's Friday live. You don't need to know every little thing, guys. Just make sure that you know about your business, the steps that you need to take to be the best prepared. You've got your business structured correctly. You know the documents that you need to be submitting. And remember, you don't just need to go and apply willy-nilly like that. You want to have a plan in place, because having a plan in place gives you the best amount of funding. Now, if this helped you, then go ahead and hit that follow button. If you are running into any challenges, then send me a DM and then we can cover it on the next topic. That's it for today, guys. See you next time.